All right, back on the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA, the number here. It's starting again. The town hall meetings are going on in full force. I'm surprised any of these congressmen or senators who are kind of squishy on a variety of issues that they even hold town hall meetings anymore. One thing I'll say about John McCain, at least he actually has a town hall meeting. I mean, I'm sure he's not all that thrilled with how it went down, but he had one. And it erupted. The people in Arizona are fed up with the elites telling them that border enforcement is happening. Don't worry, the border is being enforced, and we must have a pathway to citizenship voting, or the Republican Party is over. They're tired of this. They've heard this refrain before. And joining us now, a man who knows something about all these issues that we care about, the drones. We're going to get into the 6 drone sites they're proposing in the United States, because that's what we need, more surveillance by government authorities. And more on this McCain uprising in Arizona. And my friend, delighted he's with us, Dr. Ron Paul, former congressman from Texas, presidential candidate, and the new host of Ron Paul's America with our great distributor, Courtside Entertainment. And he's going to be doing daily radio and weekly podcasts. And it's very fun. We're so excited. Dr. Paul, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, gosh, you're going from the the frying pan into the fire, working with those scoundrels on Capitol Hill. Now you're working, basically at courtside with the likes of me and a lot of other people. So that's crazy.
I'm a very tolerant person. I can get along.
You can. Well, and you said you turned out actually to have something called a following, which more Republicans need to have. Dr. Paul, we have to. I'm going to get into what's going to happen on your radio broadcast and your podcast. I'm going to get into all of that and your new venture, education stuff you're working on. I have to get your take on what happened yesterday at a very fiery town hall meeting in Arizona with your old pal John McCain. This is one part of the conversation. Again, town hall on immigration and immigration amnesty, one of the big issues addressed.
You said build a dang fence. Where's the fence?
In case you missed it, I showed you
That's not a fence.
It's not a fence, it's a banana. We're putting up a banana with about $600 million worth of appropriations we have.
Extremely dismissive, Dr. Paul. And, of course, you know the deal with the fence. It's a small little section of the border that's fenced. Your reaction to this moment?
Well, I think it's a messy subject. I've never had any. I think I have a lot of answers and it can be pretty precise. I don't claim that I have the precise, easy answer to solve the problem of immigration, because so often I come at this issue from an economic viewpoint. Right now there's a net exit of Mexicans. They're leaving our country because our economy is weak.
Yeah, that's for the moment.
Yeah, but I think the health of the economy makes a difference, and the welfare system makes it different. Milton Friedman was pretty clear about this. He says, as long as you have a welfare system here, you can't even talk about a more openness. I would like to see a more efficient, maybe more open working permit. But this idea of citizenship, I don't think any country in the world thinks that, anybody can come in. I mean, how many Americans march into Japan and all of a sudden become a voting citizen of Japan or China? It has to be very, very rare. But everybody thinks that they can come here. And when it's welfare, that adds a big problem, because they get on the welfare rules and they generally don't vote, conservative. So it's a real mess. And also unemployment sometimes can be encouraged in this country if you pay and you subsidize unemployment. So there's a lot of people here that won't take these jobs. So I think the economy is so messed up, because of the economic system that we have, and it spills over and causes a real crisis, on this immigration problem.
Well, but what about the approach? And this is where Republicans got into so much trouble before at events where they seem to be dismissive of their constituents, the people who actually employ them. And I just thought the approach and the tone. No, we have a banana at the border. These people presumably live in a border state in Arizona. They live there year-round, by the way.
Yeah, I guess I sort of missed something about what the analogy is, but it doesn't sound very, very smooth at all. I think, the longer you've been up there, the more you see the dismissiveness of everybody that goes on, especially in the financial situation. Poor people, and they can lose their jobs and lose their houses, but bail out the rich and bail out the banks and bail out foreign governments. So the whole system is dismissive, and who's ever in power dismisses the rest of them.
Yeah, and I just think, once again, it's the elites versus the people, and the people's common sense kicks in.
Right.
Not mean-spirited. They just think, look, this situation isn't working.
Right.
We're talking to Dr. Ron Paul here on the Laura Ingraham Show, and I know you've spoken out on this issue of drones, and now we find out that American firms that make drones are aiming their sights on the U.S. market as a new frontier for this technology that's fairly controversial. And the FAA has begun to search 6 U.S. test sites that will serve as proving grounds, the Wall Street Journal writes today, to determine where drones can be safely integrated into America's busy commercial airspace.
Well,
Dr. Paul, tee off on this, please.
It is horrible. Of course, they've been used overseas for a good while, and I think it causes great harm the way we use them overseas. But to think about using them for domestic surveillance, it's a scary thought. There was something on the internet the other day, and I didn't understand the technology, but they said that it is not that hard to technically disarm some of these drones. So maybe the answer is going to be, the founders thought we ought to be an armed people, not for going hunting, but in case there was a tyrant who wanted to take over our country. So maybe if the drones take over us, what we need is the technology that can compete with that technology, because right now the momentum is against us, and there's still a lot of people in this country who say, if it's going to make me safe, that's what I want. It's only going to look and get the bad people, and it's only going to look for lost children. So this is a wonderful thing. Never thinking about what it means. What if they wanted to make you safe and secure by being able to march into your house anytime they want and just look around? I mean, it is the issue of privacy and the Fourth Amendment that counts, and we've been so careless with this for the last decade, and it needs to be reversed. There's no doubt in my mind.
One California company is making a variety of drones. I actually met one of the men who invented the drone a couple of weeks ago. He's an interesting guy. But including one model, Dr. Paul, that's designed to look like a small bird. So it'll be, if I'm flying over your house, look, that's a pretty, wait, is that a red-headed woodpecker? No, it's taking photos of my family and my children, and they know what we look like, they know how we come and how we go. And I just have a big problem. I have a huge problem with how we're being monitored and tracked, and it's getting worse. At every intersection we're being photographed multiple times. And I guess maybe people aren't as upset about this as I am, but I find it really disturbing for a variety of reasons.
Well, I'm glad you're upset, because the government, we have a government, and of course I believe in very limited government, but one thing it's supposed to do is protect our privacy. But here we have the government invading our privacy, and we have no protection. So they're doing exactly the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing, and the people don't seem to be catching on. But as I've gone around the country, though, this issue has been a popular issue to talk to young people with, because they have responded very favorably, because, they like the Internet and they like their privacy and who knows what for, but they have a right to it and they understand this issue. So I'm hoping that we get a better crop of people running this country and having influence on what our philosophies are here rather quickly, because right now it doesn't look real good for us.
Well, yeah. So that's a very interesting point. And so you say one way to get the young people who are interested in conservative ideas and maybe conservative Republican candidates is to rally on this type of issue of privacy.
I think
it's a great
so.
idea.
I think it is, and I was shocked how the young people got fascinated with with the Federal Reserve System. That seems to be a pretty esoteric issue, but in the last 4 or 5 years, especially with the financial crisis, they have become fascinated with this, and they study this. They study an Austrian free market economics and Murray Rothbard and all these people. So in that area, I think we're making a lot of progress. But we still have a lot of people, there's a competition going on